Agencies are preparing to send crews to help with hurricane relief efforts in Florida this week, and that includes the Red Cross here in Lexington. But while they are planning for that, new tonight, WKYT's Jeremy Tom shows us how they are continuing their efforts in Maui.
Nearly 3 weeks have passed since Maui fell victim to one of the deadliest wildfires in American history. With months or even years of recovery ahead, Steve Cunanan says the Red Cross remains hard at work.
Right now, we have 2,000 homes that are either have been totally destroyed or have major damage and are unlivable.
He says the group of Kentuckians with the agency in Lahaina has more than doubled since we spoke to them on August 17th.
And they've been deployed multiple times. One person has been deployed about 40 times to disasters.
And he's heard from them about what they're experiencing.
When you are in other situations, a tornado, a hurricane, you see things that you recognize. You see parts of structures. There is just nothing there anymore.
Cunanan says these Red Cross workers are bringing supplies, planning temporary shelters, offering monetary support, and more. He's seen disasters in this very state where the recovery has taken years.
Both the flooding in eastern Kentucky and the tornadoes in western Kentucky.
And he says they intend to be there alongside the victims through those years.
We still have a team on the ground right now that's working in long-term recovery. So they are working with organizations to provide housing, weather radios, and storm shelters. So the same kind of a situation, I think, will play out in Hawaii.
In Lexington, Jeremy Toms, WKYT.
Cunanan says that they are pre-positioning shelters and food supplies while also preparing teams of people to respond to Idalia. Kentucky Transportation Secretary Jim Gray also signed an order today. It will temporarily suspend certain restrictions on commercial vehicles involved in relief efforts in Florida and other states damaged by the storm.